Hey guys, Jeg's Garage here. This is going to be a little tutorial on what I do to kind of freshen up a seat. Now, the seat example is out of my '88 Suburban, but it kind of applies to just about anything. If your seat is full leather, you're going to handle it a little bit differently, but since this has, I'm assuming, vinyl or simulated leather or something pretty much all around the side and the back, I'll kind of be going over both cloth and leather. So just to kick this thing off, the other reason I want to make this video is I tried finding any information on rebuilding the foldable armrests on the Suburbans and Blazers. I don't know if Blazers have two, but the Suburbans actually have two foldable armrests, and I couldn't find much information on how they were actually built from the factory, or how to restore them. So I'm going to give my little tutorial on how I do that. So I think I came up with a pretty good method. So what we're going to be going over is I'm actually going to disassemble the back from the bottom. The reason I do that is because on these, now a lot of them have the lever that adjusts the back. These happen to have twist knobs to adjust the back. I don't know exactly when they started doing that or when they stopped doing that. But the reason I'm going to take the back off is to gain access to the mechanism a little bit easier, because it needs to be cleaned out and it needs some silicone spray in there to make it work a little bit nicer. So I'll show you how that comes apart. There's a couple tricks that you might not know about. So I'll be showing you that. For tools, you don't need a whole lot. I do have an electric impact that helps. You need a little pick tool. The other thing I use is pretty much anytime I order something, electronic for a car now, they give you this little spudger tool, something like that, something soft that you can pry with. You are going to need a T45 Torx bit to get the bolts off the other side on the hinge. You're going to need a 13 millimeter to get some of the bolts out. You are going to need a 19 millimeter to get the armrests off. Could be 3/4 inch, but this is the only thing I have with a kind of thinner wall. My 3/4 are all heavy. Little brass or a little wire brush to clean some of the little crevices, and a couple flathead screwdrivers to take this knob off, and I'll show you how to do that. As far as other supplies, I have a stash right here. Windex. I use Windex for almost everything. For a quick wipe down of certain areas where there's a bunch of gunk, I use Windex. I have turtle wax, carpet, and mat power out kind of formula. Just pretty much any of this stuff is the same. The stuff that comes with a brush on it, that'll be for the cloth. I have a Meguiar's rich leather, gold class rich leather cleaner and conditioner, which again, I don't think this is leather, but either way. And then I have some liquid wrench silicone spray for kind of loosening up some of the areas. So yeah, that's it. You can kind of see this thing is a little grungy looking. Now I won't be able to get this a whole lot better. The bottom will never look as nice as this. This, if I get a little closer here, you can see it's just still nice. This, when you come down here, there's a lot more of the backing showing. It's getting thin. I have no rips or tears except for this little mark there, but I will clean it up. We'll get in there and get all that nasty stuff out of the crevice and get it looking acceptable. This is the passenger side. I've already done the driver's side. It's down there. So we're going to get started. The first thing I'm going to do before I do anything else is I'm going to remove both armrests. I'm going to go get them on the workbench and get ready to show you guys how I redo those. Before you take these off, it's a good idea to grab them and just go like this a couple times and try to commit to memory the tension, because the bolt that we take off, the tighter you make it, the harder these are to put down. So kind of get an idea of where they're at. You don't want them too loose. You don't want to hit a bump and have them fall, and you don't want them so tight that they don't move. So give them a couple spins, see how they feel, and then you're good to take them off. But I'm going to set you up and try to get some footage of how to get these things off. Okay, the way you get these armrests off, if you look online, you'll find a couple different pieces of advice on how to get these off. really kind of depends on the year and the vehicle. A lot of them have, I believe, a clip, and you have to push this thing in and turn it, and then it pops off. A lot of people will tell you that there's a bolt down here. There is a bolt or a screw, but this is only for adjusting the stop point of the arm. So if you, what you have to do is kind of get your both seat backs into like a comfortable position, and then set these to where they're going to basically be straight out, where they're going to be comfortable for you and your passenger. And there's a screw down in there that if you just go in like this and turn it one way or the other, it will adjust that stop point. So they did not make these easy to take off. Really, the only thing you could do is go at about a 45-degree angle. And then what you're going to try to do is reach around in here and pull the fabric off like a sock. So the bolt you need to get to is right here. It's right in the side. You can kind of feel it. If you push in there, you'll feel like a round recess. That's where the bolt is. So you have to peel this back. If you're careful, you can do it without hurting anything. But you can't really dig your fingers in there. That's why you have to get it started like this. The easiest way I've found, I'll see if this one will work with just my fingers. You can usually just, you can kind of push on the whole thing, like kind of try to slide it back, and it will slide back a little bit. And once you get it started, like I have here, just kind of work it around, be gentle with it. Don't do this in the dead of winter, warm things up a little bit, and just start to peel it back. Once you get it started, you can just kind of work it down. There you go. Once you get it to that point, go ahead and roll it back, and now you'll have access to the bolt. I'm going to turn the seat for you. There. So now you have access to that bolt. That's what I'm choosing to use the 19 on, again, mostly because of the fact that it's a thin wall and it gets in, there's not a whole lot of space. This is going to be tight. There is Loctite on it. Just get it on there and let it rip. Okay, before you pull the arm off, don't just yank it off. You can pull the bolt out if you want. Go ahead and get that out of the way. There is a washer on it as well. There's the washer. You can get that out of the way. You can see there's thread locker on there. When you go to pull this off, there is going to be a piece behind it. So this is the stop that I was talking about, that screw you get down from the top. It goes, there's a little metal post here. It slides on there, and then your bolt goes through there. You can see on the inside of this, there is a metal piece that the bolt comes through, and there's a stop arm. That's what interferes with the bottom of that screw. So you see how that works. Screw that in and out, changes the angle. Go ahead and put this aside. Just remember that the screw faces up. You really can't get it put together very, very wrong. So this is the kind of the thing that I said, kind of area where I say I use my Windex. And I'm not going to get into how to really detail your seat, but I'm just showing you what I do on these guys to clean them up. A couple spritz with Windex. Again, this isn't leather, I don't think. It's like vinyl, but just give it a little quick clean off to get that, basically the crud that's there from people's arms and food that they drop and all that. Get that off of there. So I'm going to go ahead and cut you off. These are going to go over on the workbench. You can already see the problem here. Oh, I should have mentioned that. The reason why I want to, that's okay. I'm going to go throw these on the bench. I'm going to take the other side off. You can see they need to be cleaned up. Somebody was using this one heavily. I'm going to go clean these up, put them on the bench, and then continue with the seat, and we'll get back to these later. Okay, now that the arms are off, I want to go ahead and take the seat back off of the bottom. Again, I have my reasons for wanting to do that in order to get this apart. It's just easier. Plus, I want to clean in that crevice really well. So it just kind of works out to do it this way. You got to be careful, I guess, when you're doing this. If you just rip the bolts out, it's going to eventually flop down, and it's not the lightest thing in the world. For a minute there, I was doing it with the seat folded all the way back because it just seemed to me to make the most sense. But now I'm thinking I'm going to try it like this, because then at least if anything, it just goes, it'll just kind of flop forward. So let's go ahead and grab a couple bits. So we need the 13 millimeter on this side. Also, you'll notice on mine, you'll notice there's a zip tie there. That was for the seat belt receivers. I guess the seat belt receivers bolt to the floor, and then they have a plastic housing that kind of is supposed to keep them up like that. They're broken and they don't work. So somebody did that. I guess it's a good fix, but it still doesn't work that great. I figured out a way to fix it. I just put a heavy metal coat hanger, piece of heavy metal coat hanger up into that plastic thing, and now I can kind of bend it however I want and it stays. So that worked pretty well. Also Loctite on these. Okay, take them out. I'm not going to show you the other side, but the other side is the T45 bolts. Same situation. You can figure that out, I'm sure. More Loctite. There. So that kind of confirmed my suspicion. If you do it this way, it actually doesn't fall over. So that's kind of nice. So once you get those bolts out, you are pretty much home free to take this apart. Now, I'm going to flip it over. And while it's in this position, like I said, I'm going to work on this part first. But what this is also going to let me do is set this off to the side. And then I can really clean in here. As a matter of fact, I'll try to give you a shot here. You can see how nasty it is. It's pretty gross. Also, if you look in here, you'll see the other reason I wanted to take it apart. There's like popcorn in there and somebody's cat and everything else. So it's pretty gross. So this just gives you a better opportunity to clean this out. So I'm going to work to try to show you how to take this apart, because again, there's really nothing online to show you how to do anything with this. So I'm going to do my best to show you how I figured it out on the other seat. First thing you're going to want to do is take this knob off. And a lot of you are going to say that this isn't worth it and you can just clean from the other side. But I don't like other people's grime and funk. And I'm going to clean this sucker out as best I can. So in this knob, there's actually 4 recesses. You'll see them when you look at the front. Just get yourself a little prick tool or a flathead. Go into each one, gently pry it out. It'll pop right out when it's ready. There you go. Set that down. Now in here is kind of an interesting situation. You're going to notice this washer. This washer is very similar to the retainer on a fuel tank, fuel sender retainer. It has these little tangs for spinning it into place, and then it also has some areas where you can grab it and knock it off. You have to spin this metal retainer counterclockwise. Once you go counterclockwise a little bit, you'll see that there's spaces in the knob, and the knob will just fall right out. So I'm gonna put you back down. Now there's a couple ways you could do this. I figure I didn't want to beat on it too bad, as it is kind of just a metal, thin metal retainer. So I'm using 2 screwdrivers. Again, it's kind of ghetto, but I'm basically using 2 screwdrivers, and I'm going to hit them like that. Now, when you go to hit it, it's going to want to spin the knob. So you have to kind of use a little bit of dexterity here and get one of the screwdrivers like that. Kind of grab the knob with this part of your hand and hold the screwdriver, and then give it some taps. And you'll see that it'll start to move, just like when you're doing a fuel pump. Takes a couple taps, but then it starts to move, and as soon as it starts to go, it comes off pretty easy. The more it rotates, the more the easier it gets, as it comes down off the taper. Sorry, I know you can't see much. And after a couple whacks, that's going to come right off of there. So you can have a little bit of a better better look at how that works. Here's the ring. You can see the 3 notches that you have to rotate this guy around to. Now, you could take this apart further. What I wasn't able to figure out was how to get this off. It's pushed on there. This has got like a taper to it, so I see how it goes on. It's just I'm not sure how to get it off without bending this up, and it just wasn't worth it to me. But I am going to show you how to get the bezel off, and then you can really get in there and do some cleaning for sure. So that helps. So if you look around the back side of this, it's going to be really hard to see because this thing's so full of crud. But right here is a little push pin. Now when you looked at the front side, when you look at it, you really can't see anything. It did a pretty neat job with this. You wouldn't even think there was anything to take apart. But it's almost like a secret. If you take a pry tool or a little screwdriver and you put it right in the middle and you push, nothing happens. Okay, there's one. Uh-oh, we got a stuck one. So what's supposed to happen is you go in and push on that, and then kind of like magic, this little peg shoots out. And once you get the peg pushed out far enough, it just falls out. It's just a simple tapered plastic peg. Take that out, and now you're released. This one doesn't want to come out, which is interesting. I'm not quite sure what the deal is there. It could just be gummed up. So that's the kind of stuff you're dealing with when you buy somebody else's old car. So we're going to try something different. Okay, I've basically just got a little center punch, and I'm going to put it on there and give it a couple taps with this hammer handle again, or sorry, screwdriver handle. Yep, that's all it took. So once you get the pin out, which this one is almost out, there we go. There's the second pin. This will pretty much just come right off. You might have to fiddle with it a little bit. Again, it's really gummed up, so once you get it moving a little bit, it's fine. There you go. So that'll get cleaned out. Now you can really truly see the horror that's inside there. I mean, it's just gross, really, really gross. I'm actually not sure if you can see that. That's what we're cleaning out. Now, I'm not going to go into a great amount of detail on how to clean that out, but I highly recommend you not using your bare hands because it's pretty nasty. So I usually just grab an old t-shirt or something, and once again, some trusty Windex, spray some in the paper towel, or I'm sorry, in the shirt or paper towel, and just kind of grab at this stuff. That way you're not just brushing nasty crap all over the place. You could use an air blower, but you could use compressed air, but there is some lubricant in here, some grease, so it doesn't really blow off. Plus, there's just the hair and everything binds together. I mean, oh, it's so gross. So get it cleaned up as best you can. as it sits. Now that's just the stuff you can see. So you can imagine what's inside this little gear housing that makes this whole thing not want to turn. It makes a nasty gritty sounds and everything else, and it just makes it hard to adjust. But we're going to do the best we can to fix that. I'm actually going to make one more effort to pop that clip off. And if I'm able to get it, I'll let you know. And if not, I'll let you know. All right, so I tried again to get that clip off, and I just can't do it. I think you could do it if you wanted to destroy it, but I don't want to destroy it. So what I'm going to do is do what I did on the other one that seemed to work okay, and that is to basically flood this area with some type of lubricant spray. I'm using silicone spray. Seem to be having good luck with that lately, so you just kind of want to give it I don't full blast it, I just kind of start to press until it starts coming out. There's a couple little crevices that you can stick this into, and you'll start to see if you do it a couple times, it comes out black and nasty. And just make sure you have a towel or something to catch some of the silicone, the excess silicone spray, and just get it in there and give it a couple good blasts. Let it soak in a little bit. Let everybody get to know each other. Come around the back side. And again, you don't want to full blast it because you can't really get directly in there. You just have to do it a little bit, and you'll see it. It'll run down in there. This stuff does a really good job of creeping in the spots that are tight like that. So once you get a decent amount in there, take it and watch out. This is sharp, but you can use something to protect your hand. But go ahead and operate the crank, and you'll feel almost immediately how much better it is. It'll still be like crunchy sounding, but it'll certainly move a lot smoother. So that was pretty much with the seat all the way forward. Now I'm gonna recline it all the way and manually clean up some of this stuff that was in there and spray some more. And then we'll be just about finished with this. So you can see how much easier it is now. So now it's pretty much fully reclined. I'm going to come in here with this towel, wipe up some more of this nasty crap, get the back side, grab my silicone spray, and again, holding the towel underneath of it, I'm just going to give it a couple short squirts anywhere I can see. Whoop, that was a bit much. Anywhere it looks like I can work the stuff in. Nice thing about silicone spray is it really doesn't hurt anything if you get it all over. Now you could probably take that can of silicone spray and you can flood this thing just and get some compressed air and blow it, but you saw the kind of stuff that pulled it out of there. It's like hair and fuzz and dust bunnies, and that stuff's just all tangled up in there. And unless you're going to take this clip off, which again, if you know how to do it, please, by all means, let me know. Maybe I'm just not being forceful enough. Maybe I just got to get in there and pop it out. But yeah, I'm just afraid of breaking it because God knows where you could even get that. I don't even know where you'd get that. You know, GM doesn't have it anymore, and I'm sure nobody aftermarket makes it. So I don't want to break it. I'm actually wondering. Yeah, I can put that on there, make it easier to turn. I was really hoping to open this up too, just to see the actual gear mechanism, and because it does kind of operate kind of weird. Like it starts to rotate and then it slides and then it rotates and slides. And I thought it was because it was wore out, and it might be because it's wore out. But I was really just curious to see what the inside looked like. But it just wasn't in the cards because I'm not going to break the thing to get it. So there you go. Operate a couple times. Now you want to do the same thing, but much easier on this guy. You can see how that one was really stiff. A couple little squirts of this stuff. Let it soak in. Work it around. Now it's loose. And all of this will just help the seat work smoother. It won't squeak as much if you have a squeaky seat. But there you go. That's working nice now. You can see it worked some rust out of there. This does not come apart. This is peened over with a rivet. So the best you can do is just squirt some silicone in there, work it around, and you're good to go. Things like this, I'm just going to clean up manually like this. Maybe squirt it with a little bit of Windex. You don't want to be too rough with it because, again, if you break this, you're not gonna get another one. You're gonna have to salvage one, or find somebody that's got a set of seats where it's not broken and buy it off of them. So really, just the outside. Get all the big stuff out of the inside, clean up the outside, and you're good to go. So with all the cleaning and the lubricating out of the way, the next thing to do is basically just put it back together. So putting it back together is pretty simple. You snap that into place. Make sure you get it under the material a little bit, like that. Snap it into place. Take your little push pins, your little rivet pins, which, funny enough, they even have, it's going to be hard to see with this camera, but they have a texture on the pin side that matches this. That's why you couldn't see it, is they make it look so much, they make it blend in. Why they went through that much trouble, I have no idea. It seems like an awful lot of trouble to go through to hide this pin. But you're going to need to use something flat to push it in so it's flush. And once it's on there and it's flush, you really can't see it. To put this back on, it's very much the same as the way you took it off, except this time you're going to have these little tangs to hit. And once you get it started, it's pretty easy to get on there. Same situation, you got it, but you got to hold it. You got to kind of hold the knob on there and then give it some taps. Once you get it started, it's pretty easy. Plus, you don't have to hold it as much. It's good to like skip around a little too, just like with a fuel ring. Couple more taps and we'll have it. There we go. That's in there. Put this little cap back on. After you make sure it's clean. Snaps on. Now you're done with the hardware portion. So that's that for cleaning this up. It may help some of you, I'm not sure, but it works so much better now. And you'll notice when you put it together how much easier the seat is to move, because these things can be a little bit of a bear. As far as cleaning the rest of the seat up, like I said, I'm not going to get into a whole lot of detail. I've already overrun my how long I thought this was going to be. But basically, I'm going to take my vacuum and I'm going to vacuum the material. And then anywhere that looks a little dark or weird, I'm going to use that power out stuff. Scrub it in there, use a clean towel, wipe it off, And then when I'm all done and the seat's back together, I'll go through and treat the leather part of it. But that's it for this part. I'm gonna move this out of the way for now.